December 11, 1978. A group of armed men enters a cargo terminal at New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport. Within minutes, they walk away with what was then the largest cash robbery in American history. No alarms, no gunfight, no dramatic police chase, just millions of dollars vanishing into the night. But what happened next is what transformed this robbery from a bold criminal operation into one of the most infamous stories in organized crime history. Because after the money disappeared, something even stranger began to happen. Witnesses started disappearing. Associates started turning up dead. People connected to the operation were murdered one after another. It was almost as if the robbery itself had been the easy part. The real danger began after the heist was over. Today, nearly 5 decades later, the Lufthansa Heist remains one of the most fascinating criminal operations ever carried out on American soil. How did the criminals know exactly where the money was stored? How did they study airport security without being detected? Why did such a carefully planned operation succeed so completely? And perhaps most importantly, why did the crew begin destroying itself almost immediately afterward? This is the story of the Lufthansa Heist, a robbery that made millions, and a crime that ultimately ruined nearly everyone involved. Every successful operation begins with intelligence. Long before the masks, weapons, and getaway vehicles, someone needed information. Lots of it. The target wasn't a bank. It wasn't an armored truck. It wasn't even Lufthansa itself. The real target was cash moving through the international financial system. During the late 1970s, New York was one of the world's financial gateways. Large sums of money regularly arrived from overseas through JFK Airport. One particular route attracted attention. Currency shipments arriving from West Germany. These shipments often contained millions of dollars waiting to enter the American banking system. The problem was obvious. Nobody could steal money they couldn't find. Someone needed insider knowledge. And that's where investigators believe the operation truly began. The information reportedly originated from individuals with knowledge of airport cargo operations. The crew didn't stumble upon an opportunity. They discovered a vulnerability. And then they spent months learning everything they could about it. Here is the analysis. This is the first lesson from the Lufthansa Heist. The crew didn't start with a robbery plan. They started with intelligence gathering. Most criminal investigations reveal the same pattern. The better the intelligence, the simpler the operation becomes. To steal millions of dollars from an international airport, the robbers needed answers. Who worked each shift? When were guards present? Where were employees positioned? How long would it take police to respond? Which doors were locked? Which weren't? Investigators later concluded that the crew possessed an unusually detailed understanding of terminal procedures. This wasn't luck. Someone had studied the system. Security in 1978 looked very different from modern airport security. No biometric access. No AI surveillance. No intelligent analytics. No network of thousands of digital cameras tracking every movement. Many procedures depended heavily on human routine. And human routine creates predictability. Predictability creates vulnerability. The robbers weren't trying to overpower airport security. They were trying to understand it. And once they understood it, they could exploit it. Here is the takeaway. This is often misunderstood. The Lufthansa Heist was not primarily a robbery. It was an intelligence operation. The robbery itself lasted only minutes. The planning took months. In the early hours of December 11th, the operation began. The crew entered the cargo facility. Employees were restrained. Instructions were delivered quickly. There was little confusion, little hesitation, little resistance. The robbers appeared to know exactly where they needed to go. They weren't searching. They were navigating. Within a remarkably short period of time, the cash was located and removed. Millions of dollars disappeared. Then the crew left. No dramatic shootout. No extended confrontation. No Hollywood action sequence. Just efficiency. The operation had succeeded, or at least it appeared to. Here is the analysis again. The operation succeeded because complexity had been removed beforehand. Every uncertainty had been addressed during planning. This is why investigators later viewed the heist as one of the most organized robberies in American history. For a brief moment, everything seemed perfect. Then reality arrived. Criminal organizations face a problem legitimate businesses rarely encounter: trust. The larger the reward, the more dangerous trust becomes. Millions of dollars now had to be divided. Participants had to remain silent. Spending habits had to remain controlled. Nobody could attract attention. And that's where cracks began to form. Investigators later discovered that some participants allegedly ignored these precautions. Luxury purchases appeared. Expensive vehicles appeared. Behavior changed. And law enforcement noticed. The operation had succeeded. Operational security had failed. Then came the most shocking phase. The aftermath. Deaths. One after another. Associates connected to the robbery began disappearing or being murdered. Some investigators believed these killings were designed to eliminate witnesses. Others believed they were intended to prevent cooperation with authorities. Whatever the reason, the pattern was unmistakable. The greatest threat to the operation was no longer law enforcement. It was the people who had participated in it. The robbery had generated millions, but it had also generated fear. And fear can be more dangerous than any police investigation. As investigators reconstructed the operation, a clearer picture emerged. The crew had exploited insider knowledge. They had studied routines. They had minimized uncertainty. But every operation leaves traces. Financial behavior, relationships, communications, mistakes. No matter how carefully a plan is executed, the aftermath often reveals what the crime itself conceals. The challenge for investigators was proving it. And in many respects, that challenge remains today. Could it happen today? This raises an obvious question. Could a modern Lufthansa-style heist succeed? The answer is complicated. Today's airports employ technologies unimaginable in 1978. Advanced surveillance, digital access logs, license plate recognition, behavior analytics, biometric authentication, real-time monitoring. But technology doesn't eliminate risk. Changes it. Modern attackers would likely target information systems rather than physical barriers. The objective remains the same. Identify vulnerability, exploit vulnerability, extract value. The methods evolve. Human nature does not. In conclusion, the Lufthansa heist remains remarkable not because money was stolen. Money is stolen every day. What makes this case extraordinary is how methodical it was, how much planning preceded it, how efficiently it was executed, and how completely it collapsed afterward. In the end, the operation teaches a lesson repeated throughout criminal history. The hardest part isn't committing the crime. The hardest part is surviving the consequences. The Lufthansa heist generated millions of dollars. But for many of those connected to it, the robbery itself wasn't the beginning of success. It was the beginning of the end. Because sometimes the most fascinating part of a crime isn't what happened. It's how it happened. In our next episode, we'll examine another infamous unsolved robbery where millions vanished and investigators were left chasing shadows. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning the cold cases history never fully explained. Subscribe for more engaging content.
Many criminal enterprises fail not because police solve them. They fail because human beings are unpredictable.
Greed, ego, distrust.
Fear. The Lufthansa heist ultimately became a case study in all four.
If you enjoyed this investigation, subscribe to Cold Case Chronicles US for more deep dives into history's most infamous heists, robberies, organized crime operations, and unsolved criminal mysteries.